It's closing time, glow. Feel the spark bridge, oh. You're the deal maker, pro. Closing time, glow, oh.
Welcome, hola. My name is Rosa, and today in my first show, I have an amazing salesperson, somebody that actually have walked the journey and carries similar scars as I do as that enterprise strategic sales. And this is John Michaels.
Hey.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So I wanted to talk to you about so much that we have in common about that long wall feeling of being in strategic sales.
Right.
So what was your experience?
Well, my experience comes from over 30 years of enterprise tech, business development, customer engagement, large implementations, and then my career grew into more of a large geo focus. So my last experience was with AWS, and so I had all of the East Coast, Latin America, and all South America.
Oh.
So I literally ran enterprise implementations in 3 different countries in 3 different languages at the same time. And so, you know, when you talk about that lone wolf mentality, I think it comes not just with the territory, but the individual. There's a certain type of individual and a mindset that has to that is very attracted to to this kind of lifestyle. It's not a job; it is a lifestyle.
It is absolutely a lifestyle. You know, talking about that lonely feeling, it was incredible. And I have to tell you a little bit about my story and about how that lonely feel really was throughout my entire career, and some pivotal moments that made me change a little bit. So, you know, on that, when I came to, I don't know if you know this, John, but when I came to the United States, I was only 16 years old, and I was studying engineering in Texas A&M, and it felt really lonely because I was trying to speak English, I was trying to kind of fit in.
Plus, you were 16.
I was 16.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of social skills does a 16-year-old have?
Right.
So, but you know, that was hard. But then I started 3M, like you're talking, that corporate world, and man, that was a completely different language.
Right.
That was that political language that I wasn't taught in school. And the social skills that I had learned, that was not working. And I felt very lonely because I would be that lonely woman in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to do that. And it didn't matter if I beat quota because I did, right? And every time I went into a new project and I won and I beat it and all that good stuff, I mean, the lonelier I felt.
Right.
It was like that lone wolf lifestyle, like you said.
Right. Well, I always advise younger people that are coming into sales, especially in tech, that are going into a large environment. First thing you need to do is reach out to your leadership and let them know who you are, and try and spend at least 5 to 10 minutes with them. Get on their calendar. If they're good leaders, which most of them are, they'll give you the time. But it's more important, or just as important, to be known as it is to be liked.
I agree.
Right.
And you know, many people are like, listen, I'm doing my work, I'm beating quota, that's all it matters. And I'm like, yeah, it would seem like that's all it matters, but it really doesn't, right?
Right.
It is that social skills and the leadership skills that really take you to the next level.
Right. But here's the thing. I always tell people too, there's a difference between a contact and a relationship.
Yes.
Everybody's got contacts, but most people don't have relationships. Why is that? Because it takes effort.
Yeah.
And it takes energy. And it's a lonely venture because most people don't respond, but they do notice.
They do notice.
They do notice.
Yeah.
And so as you're building your success within these corporate realms, you've got to take time and make the sacrifice to make those relationships. And so that's something I learned early on. You can be really successful as a field sales individual, but you can also pigeonhole yourself.
Oh my gosh, that happened to me big time because I felt that I was so good at this, but I was just being seen like this kind of like that aggressive Latina that I wanted to go and just beat quote all the time, whatever it took.
And
right?
maybe you were.
And maybe I was.
Right.
And I realized that I needed to do something about it. And that's when I made the biggest pivot in my career. I asked for help. I had a new vice president of sales, and she was the general manager. And she was gay. So she had gone through a lot of that kind of loneliness that I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to her and she totally got me. She understood, she empathized, and she was very honest. And the biggest feedback I got was, Rosa, sometimes you walk in and it's not just about you. It's about the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about getting to that number, whatever it takes. It is about the team. And I was so lucky that I got the mentorship, I got the training, and I got the training on those leadership skills and soft skills. So you know that after that change, I got my first 5 out of 5 in a performance review. I mean, come on, everybody gets a 3, right? Every single year. But I got that 5 out of 5 that first year and the second year. And after decades of being a successful sales leader, I finally started moving up the ladder. So I went from that really lost 16-year-old to engineer, made it all the way to chief revenue officer, of a public company.
Right.
And now I am changing the way I do things. Now that I am an entrepreneur, I am out there and telling everybody, screaming at every salesperson enterprise like you and me, you know what? Sales alone is not going to make it.
No.
So I'm going to teach you how to sell. I'm going to teach you the strategy, how to get to the big whales. But what I'm going to really going to teach you and coach you on is that mindset. It's the social skills, is to be a leader, is to lift people up, to elevate your team, and to get out of the way so they can be better. And I'm hoping that I can do this and I can change people's lives because it changed my life.
Right. When you become an entrepreneur like I am as well, you learn that sales is part of it, but it's about relationship building, implementing the right mechanisms, the right workflows, and being able to be competent with the customer, because there are many times the customer will respond to you because they can trust you. And it's all about trust, not just closing the deal.
We talked about this. It's about trust, right? It is about those first 8 seconds and how you show yourself, how authentic you are when you're talking. And, I've had people say like, well, sales is difficult because people are not giving me information, or I don't know this, or I don't know that. And I'm like, well, they're not giving you information because you have not gotten the trust.
Right. They don't know you.
They don't know you.
And they don't know you. And people people know, we have a sixth sense for human beings if someone's using us as an instrument. If they're just trying to close a deal, we know it.
We know it.
And we understand. Everybody's got a living to make, has to make a living and pay bills. But I want to know that you have my best interests at heart. And so that takes a little bit of time. But once you've got that flow down, you become really good at it.
And the hardest thing for me to coach and teach is
Patience.
empathy. Empathy. Well, 2 things, actually, empathy and silence. But empathy, people cannot empathize nowadays.
No.
They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, can you feel what other people feel? Can you feel what they are going through when they are doing their day-to-day? When they have to go to their boss for permission for this project? Do you understand how hard it is for them? I said, and I have a big conversation about ghosting as well. Have you ever been ghosted?
Yep, absolutely. And there's a way, and there's a strategy around that as well.
It is. There is. And I think that one of the things that I've done a lot of research about is it goes back to trust. Because one thing is they're not ready for you or they don't want to buy your product. That's one thing. But the fact that they don't want to talk to you and tell you that, and they just disappear, that's all about trust. Don't you think?
Yes. And it can also be other factors, but you want to be able to take your time. People don't want to be rushed. People want to be educated. They don't want to be sold today.
They want to be educated.
They want to be trained. They want to be informed. They want to be educated, and let them make their own decision.
Yeah.
I think a lot of challenge that young salespeople have, as well as they're put under so much pressure by leadership, that there's a cultural balance there that's many times is an imbalance. And so they're just hit the number. Well, this is reality. This is the real world, and you're dealing with human beings here.
And they're exhausted and overwhelmed. I coach people that they're like, don't give me another tool. Don't give me another AI tool. I don't want to have any more gongs or CRMs or anything. I just want to sell. And so I think the combination that I found that works the best, and I'm telling you, I have implemented some AI, but in just strategic places of the workflow, right? And that has gained increased rates, win rates by 20 to 25%.
Sure.
But it's not really the AI doing that. I think what's happening is, like you're saying, it takes away that menial, that repetitive, that thing that we procrastinate about, and it let us have time to create the relationship with the customer. Right? And I was just having a conversation the other day that and I'm sure when we were starting to sell, we didn't have AI. We didn't know where people went to school. We didn't know what their hobbies were. We didn't have all the information that is out there. And we had to kind of walk the halls and ask questions and, trying to figure it out. So now salespeople have the advantage to have AI, but I think we cannot overwhelm them with a brand new tool.
No, and companies need to realize, again, AI has a purpose, but it's not going to, you can't let your hands off the wheel, right?
Correct.
AI is not going to do the job for you, and it's not going to allow you to grow people and to, drive success, because there has to be a win-win for the customer and the team.
Yeah.
So.
And one of the things that I get most from, especially strategic salespeople, is that when they get stuck, AI does not help them. Right? They want somebody that they can talk to. And most of the time, their managers are so busy for one-on-ones.
Right.
They're all in meetings. And every time they meet with them is, what have you done for me? When is the next sale? When are you going to close?
Right.
Are you going to close? And they feel stuck. And they do not have somebody to go to coach them on not what to do, but to help them unstuck themselves.
Right. I found that the most success I've had and the most successful people that I've witnessed create a methodology or follow a set of methodologies.
Yes.
Right? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Right? You got the Sandler approach. You've got the Medic approach. If you have a methodology that you follow that's flexible, because every customer, every environment's different, but the stages, that leads to success. Because there's a saying in the military: slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Take your time, get your motion down. Then once you've got your motion down, that muscle memory, then you're fast. And you can do that in sales as well.
And discipline, right? I think the best thing that a leader can do for their people when you become a manager is two things: is having discipline, right? And not authoritarian type of, you do what I say, but what I mean. And you understand that discipline that comes from inside.
Right.
And then to motivate them. And it's hard for people to motivate people.
Right.
Right? It should come from inside of somebody, but somebody has to help them out. Right. And it's not about giving them another check or dangling, those incredible commissions that you never get because your quota keeps going up. But it's to truly give them autonomy.
Right.
And right now, because we're so pressured for time, controlling has become more and more. People try to control every movement of the salesperson, giving them little room for them to be creative. And salespeople, it's about being creative, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, it is. And it's a test of psychology. It's understanding psychology and psychiatry more than closing a deal, right? Because people like to do business with people that they like, that they trust, and that they understand.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day. You're going to get every deal? Of course not. You're going to get every deal. And large environments, people need to realize that they manage there's hundreds or thousands of sales personnel around the country or the world to a percentage level. So they're managed to maybe 120, 130%. They don't like to go above that for the average.
Right.
Right, because it can get expensive. So you got to know the environment that you're in, and you always have to be making inroads and developing relationships. You can't just be carrying a bag. Now, if that's what you want to do, and that's all you care about, rock and roll. If all you care about is a paycheck and not a trophy, totally understand. But there's different things to understand if you're going to build a great career, especially if you want to go up the chain. And have you noticed after about 20, 25 years, people hit a certain level, and that's typically where they maintain their airspeed and altitude in their career. Maybe it's a manager, maybe it's a director, maybe it's a VP, maybe it's a CEO, but they always end up getting there after a certain amount of time, and that's kind of where they stay.
It's correct, because that's when they stop looking for a coach, for mentoring, stop learning. So people are sometimes they're like, well, I don't need a coach. I kind of have my ways. And you're like, you know what? Tiger Woods had a coach.
Right.
I mean, has he not reached the peak?
Yeah.
And he didn't fire his coach. And I think in sales, you have to understand, we're like athletes, John. I mean, we have to get better and continue to sharpen our craft every time, right?
Even Sylvester Stallone has a trainer.
He does
Right.
at this point, right?
Yeah.
And he's teaching. So I always have my own coach, and I go to my own mentors sometimes, because even though I'm one, it is important to continue to learn and to learn.
Right.
And so this is the open mindset I think we're trying to talk about with sales teams.
Right. And I think, from my 30 years experience, you got to like people, man. You got to like to network. You got to like to build relationships. You got to like to build your tribe. After 30 years, I have people all over the world that I can call, that I randomly throughout the year make sure that I'm reaching out to everybody. Maybe it's a birthday. Maybe it's a daughter's wedding or just, hey, man, just touching base, seeing how you're doing. People rarely will respond because they're busy, they're living, but they do notice.
They notice, you know, and people are sometimes when they're trying to prospect, especially this strategic people, they're going very transactional, like you said. And I always said, if you are living in a transactional world, then AI is going to come and replace you, because transactions AI can do. So you need to be transformational, right? You need to have those relationships that transcend, not this relationship that just, I'm going to use it for this, because people know, they can feel it, right? They know when somebody really cares about you being successful.
It's interesting because the major platforms out there, and I won't mention any, but we know one of the major platforms for networking out there. If I go to someone's profile and I see less than 500 connections, I feel like they're not taking it seriously. They're not taking their reputation and their personal brand seriously. Yeah.
And they live in their bubble.
Yep.
And nowadays, you need everybody. We are living in a different world now, where you are not going to be successful just by living in your bubble.
Right.
And whatever brought you here, it's just not going to take you there.
Well, branding is about community, building a community. That's what it's all about. And even your personal brand, and even sales, the most powerful force in the universe next to gravity is third-party validation.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
That is so important. And I wanted to also talk about balancing, because I talk to a lot of female sales leaders, and it is hard to balance things. I mean, it is hard to be kind and empathetic, but yet be taken seriously. Or it's hard to balance life, kids, and everything, and then be successful at work. But I'm going to say that more and more, it's not just female leaders. It's also a lot of guys. They are really pitching in at home. And it's becoming harder for them to do the extra networking, right? So that, I think, we have become a bit busier in this world.
We have, but there's something in the sport of diving. Plan your dive and dive your plan. Manage your time. You've got 31 days in every month. You can manage your time if you're managing your time. The problem is most people don't. They don't. They just kind of bounce around like a pinball. But the ones who are successful in managing that know that, okay, out of this 30-day stretch, 5 of these days, I'm going to be attending these type of events. I'm going to be putting effort into this, et cetera. And they plan it out, and they've got it marked down, and they execute their mission.
Right.
And but there's a way to manage your life. Everyone's busy.
Everybody's busy.
Everybody's always been busy.
And the last time the CEO hired me to help their VP of sales, he said, she's so busy, right? And I'm like, what is she so busy about? And when I had a conversation with her, it ended up that she was doing all the work. She was not delegating. This is this control that sometimes we have.
It's
like
everywhere.
Everywhere, where we are the only ones that know how to do it well. And so you have all these excellent salespeople that were promoted to managers that nobody trained them how to be a manager.
Right.
So what they do is they move away their team and they try to close the deals themselves, right? And they've become the biggest bottleneck.
Yeah.
So when I'm trying to really help these VPs of sales, it's not just about sales. It really is about time management. Put your priorities, put your priorities on time, right? And then just be able to execute. Trust. The word comes again and again, John.
Yeah.
Trust your people. Trust your team. Give them autonomy to succeed. But yeah, most of the time that I hear, oh, I am too busy, I'm like, I wouldn't call that a badge of honor.
No,
You know what I mean?
Nothing destroys a sales team or an aspiring sales pro like bad leadership, and it's everywhere. And that's human nature. And so with the implementation of AI, it's going to be really interesting to see how leadership changes in corporate America. They're going to start asking questions. Why do I need so many C-level executives? Why do I need so many mid-level managers? I've got the workflows. We've got the tools. I only need one person that can have data report up to, and then they're using their AI to report up to me. Why do I need all these people?
Oh my goodness. I just wrote a LinkedIn post about this. I said, now that AI is coming, guess what? The leadership gaps are going to really surface.
You're already seeing it.
It's all the stuff, all that busy work that leaders work on, that little busy work of, okay, I'm going to do a pipeline review. And all you do is ask, right? All those nonsense meetings are happening. All that stuff can be taken care of by AI. And guess what? All you have left is the human.
Right.
And that's the part that I love to coach the most.
So going back to the original thesis, why is it such a lonely life for field reps? Well, you should be excited. And the way that you can be excited is to plan your dive your plan, have your strategy, and manage your time. Know you're going to network, build relationships, get out of your comfort zone. You've got to get out of your comfort zone. If you're an introvert, get over it. You're in the wrong line of work.
I started as an introvert when I was an engineer.
You're in the wrong line of work, so you better start learning how to smile and be able to talk to people and asking for help. And that means customers too. Whenever I ask a customer, can I bend your ear? I really need some help. They're always 100% ready to stand up.
You know what? People always want to help. We still have that in place, right? So going back, like you're saying, that feeling lonely, being surrounded by so much social media, so many people, I mean, that's unacceptable now. You gotta continue to learn, right? Continue to learn, continue to look for training, get a mentor, get a coach, be vulnerable and ask for help.
Right. And the great thing is with social media, it may not be within your own company. It may be best for you to go outside and look to some of these different platforms and find a coach. They're out there. You just got to vet and make sure you get a good one.
Oh yeah, that is true too.
Because this is a subject for another time. But there's a lot of fakers out there too.
There are terrible. I mean, sometimes I always like to have conversations like you. We have walked that path. We have felt it, right? We have the scars to prove it, right? And we know how it feels. So I can empathize. I can empathize with a sales leader and how hard it was to let go and trust my team to meet the goals.
Right.
How hard it was to go from an individual contributor to a team player. That was difficult and that needed to be trained. And how to be able to motivate my team, not by saying you're going to do because this is what corporate says, but really bringing that intrinsic motivation, giving them the purpose, help them and understand the autonomy, bringing it from inside. That's, I think, what lasts and what makes them successful.
So there's two ways. There's two avenues on that, and from my perspective, right? As a leader, you need to know that I've got your back.
Yes.
As long as you're right and you're honest, I'm not going to throw you under the bus. I'm going to make sure that you're given plenty of line of sight to be successful. But number two is people do what's inspected, not expected. I learned that in the military. So my team needs to know that I'm going to be expecting clean CRM hygiene. I'm going to be expecting clean forecast, updated notes. I should be able to go in and see what's going on in every opportunity with your notes. I shouldn't have to call you. And that's that's a bar of execution that I call. And so it's a two-way street.
It is. And you know what? I think it's a lot of inspiration as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's about modeling. I always say, as a leader, if you're late to a meeting, your team is going to be late. If you don't feel CRM, they're not going to feel CRM.
Not at all.
Right? And so I am surrounded by a lot of sales leaders like, yeah, that salesperson is not doing this. And I'm like, are you? Right?
Right.
And they look at me, well, I don't have to. And it's that kind of parent-child relationship where you're like, no. It's the modeling of discipline, of execution. If you're canceling an important meeting with them on their one-on-one because you had something more important than time with them, then guess what? That's what you're going to find from them as well.
Right, absolutely. Well, this has been a great insight.
There has been a fantastic conversation. So going back to being lonely, you know what? Get a mentor, have somebody to coach, start learning, keep training, and start using some of those AI tools. I think it's going to be working. Thank you so much
Thank you for
coming and sharing all this wonderful expertise.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
It's closing time.